I've got to care about what I do. I've got to have intention behind it. And I'm not responsible for the size of the crowd. I'm not responsible for the sales. I'm not responsible for all those things. Now, that's a tough thing for a business girl who thinks money making is a sport, and I don't like to lose. So there's a tension between that. And sometimes I've got to remember that if I really believe that there is something greater, then I've got to be okay with the process of getting there so that I don't get there and then it's stripped away or I crumble under the weight of other people's desire and need.
You're about to listen to the best of TSP. This is a collection of content from workshops and conferences that we've done over the years because we want to help you grow and expand your business. So do me a favor, lean in, pay attention, and listen now.
Let me ask you, because as you were talking, it reminded me of something I say to my group, my clients all the time. And it's just that I'm a big believer in, I'm 43, I think. I forget how old I am all the time. So I'm 43, but I always think about the fact that I feel like, man, these 43 years have been the catalyst for the next 43, right? You know what I mean? I'm a big believer in like everything that happened, like get you to this place in this space so that it catapults you into the next part of it. And you mentioned earlier when you were talking about, there's like kind of social media era we live in and everybody kind of rushing to get to the end before it's time. But can you speak a little bit about like just the patience and the leverage and that piece of appreciating that, hey, like you might have wanted to do this by the time you're 20, by the time you're 30, and imagine this life with this spouse and these kids and this job and this business, but you're really in the right place right now.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's still just the setup, like bigger is coming, right?
It is, what came to my mind is the scripture and concept that my life is not my own, so neither is time. And there is a refinement of belief. If you know you have a big calling on your life, then everything can't actually come quickly because in your capacity, it doesn't exist. And the weight, a friend of mine sent me something once called the harness. It's like the harness of the Lord. It was a sermon, but I received it in business because there are times where I wonder, okay, it's just family here, right? I can just be real honest. There's sometimes you're like, we should be even bigger. Like the quality, the depth, like what? They're selling smoke. Like there are people in this industry, they sell smoke. I learned this when I came off The Apprentice. There was a whole different path I could have taken if I had chosen to be the traditional typecast Black female. I was told I needed to anchor myself to the host of the show, whose name shall not be named, right? And in this day, I look now in 2020 and realize why it never resonated with my spirit from a standpoint of anchoring with this person. But I was being protected and didn't know it. Now, was it slower? Yes. Could I have gotten on more television? Could I have maybe made more money? But what would it have cost my soul to go faster, to get there sooner? I got an email, a direct message from a young lady last night, and I get these now regularly. But the one last night, she was talking about how she had such a rough childhood and how she struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts. And then she told me about how she read Believe Bigger, the book, and how it caused her for the first time she's only 21. Wasn't like she had been married, but she had just made bad relationship decisions her whole life because of all these things that had happened in her home, abuse, trauma. And I was actually reading this one to my husband because it was long. You know, when you get those really long DMs, you're like, oh, I'm going to read all this. But something caused me to scroll to the very top. And this girl poured her heart out about how much she was truly being changed. Bible says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now, if I had gone fast, would I have had the capacity, you don't even know how you're changing the lives of other people. Whether you're learning, whether you are great at marketing, whether you're great at baking, creating something with your hands or your mind, you don't have control over the ripple effect. Remember influence, the ripple effect? So I could be teaching business, branding, marketing, and sales, but I fully expect for people to see a glimpse of eternity. And that means I've got to care about what I do. I've got to have intention behind it. And I'm not responsible for the size of the crowd. I'm not responsible for the sales. I'm not responsible for all those things. Now, that's a tough thing for a business girl who thinks money making is a sport, and I don't like to lose. So there's a tension between that. And sometimes I've got to remember that if I really believe that there is something greater, then I've got to be okay with the process of getting there so that I don't get there and then it's stripped away or I crumble under the weight of other people's desire and need. Because here's the last thing I will say about integrity in coaching that I think is really important and why you've got to gain the actual skill of what it is that you do. Not just sales, not just marketing, but being really good. My husband, he's a licensed he's not licensed only because he doesn't want to have to play by those rules anymore, but he's a psychotherapist, one of the highest paid psychotherapists in the country. He's amazing at what he does, and he's taught me so much about not just working off my natural ability, but learning skills and systems so that I don't have to carry the weight of it. The reason why you want to have depth, because people are genuinely hurting. People genuinely need to know how to pay their bills and change their life and to fix their health. They genuinely need to know that. If we can only scratch the surface of your social media pretty pictures, how dare you ask God to expand your territory, to send more people into your vineyard, if you haven't even learned how to grow anything, much less yourself? Now, I'm not saying you don't get started somewhere, but what I am saying is you've got to actually value being good, because there is a transfer that is coming, and I believe it's coming in this decade right now. And you getting the depth that is necessary is going to determine what destination you end up at. You will end up at a destination, but you will look back on this day and say, I should have, I could have, I wish I had, or you'll get there and you'll be like, I wasn't prepared for that. You don't need to be afraid of not being prepared. You just need to prepare with a certain level of depth. You can go quicker, or you could develop your capacity so that you could be around for a long time. We want you around for a very, very, very long time so that you truly have legacy and that people can feed from the buffet of your brilliance.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Traffic Sales and Profit Show. Hey, do me a favor. If you enjoyed what you heard today, subscribe and follow us on this platform right now to make sure you do not miss a beat as we drop new episodes and additional content every single week. Also, if you'd like to get access to a free paperback copy of my book, access to the TSP Traffic Sales and Profit free Facebook group, our challenges, resources, our events, and more, make sure you visit us at www.trafficsalesandprofit.com/podcast.